Okay. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Padantikam Vande Aham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Shahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripide Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyadevacha Patitanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangumam Kayate Hirim Chat Kripa Tamahang Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitaneshwaram Hare Krishna. So welcome to all the devotees present tonight for our final session of this unit. Yeah, it would be nice if somebody can inform His Grace Sudarshan Gaur Chandra Prabhu to be present at the last minute. So I just want to thank him at the end of our session. Yeah. Pranab Prabhu, you can send message to Prabhu if he can.
Yes,
just
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, I'll call him.
Yeah, just 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, okay. At the end, you can tell him. Okay, so continuing our discussion, yesterday we have discussed how Lord Krishna explaining to Arjuna in details about the process, the system, the procedure of practicing the Ashtanga Yoga. And in the second part of the discussion, we discussed about what is the perfectional stage in practicing the Ashtanga Yoga? What is the perfectional stage of a yogi? So Krishna explained that those who are realizing the Paramatma, realizing Krishna as the Paramatma. So that's the perfection of the yogic practice. And of course, Prabhupada explained that those who are in Krishna consciousness automatically derive the topmost result of the Ashtanga Yoga practice. So today, we will be discussing about, after Arjuna was hearing those explanations in details about the Ashtanga Yoga from Krishna, so now we will see Arjuna's response, in which actually Arjuna will reject that practice, Ashtanga Yoga practice. That's first part of the discussion. Second part of the discussion is that Arjuna was asking, okay, if the yogis, what happened to those who are unsuccessful? Okay, somebody may practice spiritual life, but what about those yogis who are unsuccessful in this life, in their spiritual practice? What will be their destination? That's second part of the discussion. And the third part is that Krishna will be explaining amongst all yogi who is the topmost. Yeah. All right. So now from text 33 to 36, this is the topic, Ashtanga Yoga rejected by Arjuna. Yeah. Arjuna rejects the Ashtanga Yoga system as impractical because his mind appears uncontrollable. Krishna assures Arjuna that it is possible to control the mind by constant practice and detachment. Okay. Text 33, Arjuna said, O Madhusudan, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada said, the system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjun, beginning with the word Suchao Dese. Okay, so Suchao Dese means a holy place. Yeah, a holy place, Suchao Dese. And ending with Yogi Paramaha is here being rejected by Arjuna out of feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. Prabhupada continued, 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now, yet he refused to accept this system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Okay, so Prabhupada is emphasizing the point here. If Arjuna 5,000 years ago, actually Arjuna is a great personality, right? But still he rejected the system given by Lord Krishna with the reason that his mind is unsteady, because in order to practice this Ashtanga yoga we need steady mind. Yeah. But Arjuna said, here it is. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balava dridam tashyaham negraham manye vayori vasuduskara. Text number 34. The mind is restless, turbulent, and obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Vayor iva suduskara. Arjuna, he had a weapon which can counteract. He had arrows which can counteract the wind, and sometimes he exhibited his power through his arrow, by which that arrow actually can shower rains, create fires, and his arrow can counteract the wind direction. Yeah. Vayu is afraid of Arjuna's arrow. But here Arjuna is saying that Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, my mind is so chamchala. Chamchala means unsteady, cannot stay in one place. This is chamchala. Chanchala is also another name of Lakshmi Devi. Interesting. Because Lakshmi Devi cannot stay in one place. She must go, although she doesn't want to leave Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. But whenever Lord Vishnu's devotee has material desire, she must go to that place and fulfill the desire of that devotee. Therefore, her name is Chanchala. Yeah, always going here and there, busy. So the mind also like that, Chanchala. Ramati Bhalava. Bhalava means very, very strong, difficult to control. For Arjuna, it's easier for him to control the wind. Then now the point here is that we cannot control the wind, and what to speak of controlling the mind. Yeah. And Arjuna, as Srila Prabhupada explained here, he had much better facilities to perform the Ashtanga Yoga, yet he rejected the process. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicines. Yeah. Sometimes we have some disease, and because this disease is too strong, so even we take medicine, that medicine seems to be has no effect. So similarly, the mind can be controlled by intelligence, but sometimes our intelligence is defeated by the mind. The mind doesn't want to listen to the intelligence because the mind is so strong. Yeah, bala. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. Trinad api sunichena. Yeah, that verse. Mantra. Yeah, mantra means man stand for manaha, tra stand for triate. Like kshatriya. Kshat means herd, and triya means triate. So a person who protects somebody for being hurt, he is kshatriya. So similarly, mantra, man is mind, yeah, mana, trayate, to save. So mantra means that can by which actually can save the mind. Yeah. So and then Maha mantra means the great mantra. Yeah. So this process is actually enable us to control our mind. Yeah. We may think that we may ask question, okay, oh Prabhu, why after chanting Hare Krishna also? Because Prabhupada mentioned here, by chanting Hare Krishna one can control his mind. Oh Prabhu, why after chanting many years Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, still I cannot control my mind? Well, compared to before we become devotees, even our mind is much more, wild, wild than now. At least now, up to some extent, we have some understanding and we have some sense that yes, we have to control our mind. Yeah. So the chanting is actually the only means, especially in the Kali Yuga. Yeah. The method prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. So Satatam Kirtayantanam, by constant chanting, actually we can manmana bhaman, constantly thinking about Krishna. And it is true actually, when we really concentrate on what we say, the word comes, the words come from our mouth while we are chanting. Actually, we can think about Krishna. One time, Srila Prabhupada was asked by one of his disciples, said that, Prabhupada, why while chanting I cannot remember Krishna? My mind is going here and there, what's going on here? And Prabhupada said, when you chant, you cannot remember about Krishna. So don't try to remember about Krishna when you chant, but just try to listen what you say when you chant. So when we're focusing our ear to the words, to the Maha Mantra that comes out from our mouth while chanting, we will automatically thinking about Krishna. Just like now when I say, okay, banana, because you are very carefully listening on me, listening to me. When I say banana, what appears in your mind? Apple? No, banana, right? Because you hear the word banana. If I say apple, apple will appear in your mind. If I say coconut, coconut will appear in your mind. So similarly, if I say Krishna and you pay attention, so Krishna will appear in your mind. So therefore, chanting is not simply mechanical chanting. It should be with full attention. Therefore, normally in some temples, every morning after the Tulasi Puja, we are reciting the Das Nama Parad, 10 offenses against the holy names. And then after the 10th one is to not have complete faith on the chanting and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions in this matter. And not only that, but it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So that's also an offense when we are not paying attention. Because chanting is like this, we are inviting Radha and Krishna to appear to our tongue in the front of us. But when we neglect them, that's an offense. Just like, for example, you are calling somebody to your house, please come today, please come to my house. I want to meet you, I want to talk to you. And then your friends, for example, okay, I will come, he said. And then she or he comes to your house, and then he knocked the door, but you neglect. You didn't open the door. Yeah, you didn't open the door because you are busy with some other things. Then what happened to your friend? He may disappointed and just go away. So Krishna is also like that. We are chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We are inviting Krishna to come to us, to dance on our tongue. But when we don't pay attention on the chanting, that's why we feel our chanting is dry, because we don't pay special attention. Yeah. But when we really chant nicely with full attention, absorb on the holy name, we will really feel Krishna's presence. Krishna's potency will really present on the holy names. Nanamakari Bahudani Jasarva Saktis. So the all Sakti, all the energy, potency of Lord Krishna is actually residing in the holy names. And we can feel the Sakti when we pay attention, when we pay attention while chanting the holy name. Yeah. So this is the continuation. Yeah. So the Indriya compared to the senses. Yeah. The Indriya compared to the senses. Oh, sorry, Indriya is senses compared to the horses. Yeah. So the Indriya is so wild, just like strong horses. And then the rope, the string, which direct the horse is the mind. And then the driver is the intelligence, the Buddhi. And we, the Atman, is consciousness. Yeah, the chariot is the body. So without the Atman, so the chariot is useless. Yeah. That's why Srila Prabhupada explained how to know that Atman or the Jiva presence in the body is through consciousness. Yeah, through consciousness. Srila Prabhupada explained in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, it is said the individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver, mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. Self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer, the association of mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinker. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the intelligence is sometimes compared to a sharp needle. Even the very sharp needle of the intelligence cannot pierce the strong mind any more than a needle can forcibly pierce iron. So nicely nicely explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he compared the mind to be just like, no, the intelligence is just like a sharp needle. What you cannot pierce using sharp needle. If you pierce your skin, you may get hurt because it's very sharp. But when the object of being pierced, to be pierced, is hard, like iron, so this needle may get broken. So although it's sharp, but the object to be pierced is very, very hard, then the needle cannot penetrate. So similarly, the intelligence is supposed to be higher than the mind, but when the mind is so wild, uncontrollable, so, fluctuated by material desire, intelligence cannot say anything. Even sometimes also, we know some philosophy, but when the mind is too absorbed in some material thought, we know that okay, this is not good, that is not good, but still we do it because the mind is already captivated, already caught by Maya. Then by force we have to follow that. Intelligence cannot say anything. Text number 35. This is the solution given by Lord Krishna. Yeah, asansaya mahabaho manu durnigraham chalam abhyashena tu kantya vairagyena jagriyate. Two things mentioned by Krishna, abhyasha and vairagya. Lord Krishna says, Almighty Arm, son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and detachment. Yeah, abhyasha and vairagya, practice and detachment. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagement is hearing about Krishna. This is very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. Yeah, that's true. Hearing is the one of the most important basic principle of practice in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, hearing. The more we hear, actually, our heart becomes more purified, and in that way, actually, we can control our mind and cut off actually the chain of karma. Yeah. Yad anudyashina yukta karma granti nibandhana chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatin. So kona kuryat katharatin. Who will not get the attraction to hear about Krishna Katha? Because Krishna Katha will give the topmost result. Yad anudya ashina yuta karma granti nibandhana. So we are bound by karma granti. But chindanti means cut off. This karmic reaction will be cut off by the process of hearing only. Chindanti ko vidastasya, the intelligent person, use this method of hearing just to cut off the bondage of karmic reaction. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. Prabhupada said this is very practical. This attachment is called Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. Sorry, this attachment is called Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. So Prabhupada is talking about attachment to Krishna. Yeah, it is called Pareshanubhuti. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for a very morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objects. Very nice analogy. Yeah, this verse is actually that analogy is given by Narad Muni in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto. Yeah. Bhakti parisanubhavo viraktir anyatra chaisha trika ekakalaha prapadya manasya yathanatashu tusti pusti ksudabhayo anudasa. Just like we eat, what we experience while eating, tusti, satisfaction, pusti, pusti means nourishment, and parishanubhava, tusti pusti ksudabhayo. Ksudabhayo means free from hungry. So similarly, when we perform bhakti, we get happiness. Bhakti, parishan, we get the direct experience of the Lord. And virakti, we becomes detached from the material world. How to become detached from the material world is by attaching ourselves to Krishna. This is called spiritual attachment, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Yeah. So the more we hear about Krishna, the more attached we become. And this is practical. Prabhupada said this is practical. Just like a businessman. A businessman always try to get some news, get some information, hear some information about what is good to sell now. What is good to sell now? That is the mentality of a businessman. Or where to go to sell. What is the occasion? Is there any special event where they can sell something to get more money? This is business. Yeah. So the more he hear about business, his mind becoming too attached with business things, business stuff, money. Materialistic people love to hear about money, where money come from. The more he hears about money, so his mind will become more attached to money. Yeah. So we also like that. The more we hear about Krishna, about his pastimes, devotees, great devotees, pastimes, we become more attached to Krishna. Yeah. This is called parisanubhuti or spiritual attachment. So when we already attach to Krishna, automatically we become detached from the material world. Artificially try to be detached, like the Mayavadi. Yeah? They are detached, but they don't attach themselves to Krishna. So they may go to the spiritual world up to the Brahmajyoti, and after sometimes they have to come down again because they don't get any attraction to Krishna. So they are forced to come back. Text 36, for one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That's my opinion. Okay. So trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite fire while pouring water on it. So if our mind is uncontrolled, then practicing yoga is useless. Yeah. Just like we try to light a fire, but at the same time we pour water, then it's useless. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna consciousness. So again here, Srila Prabhupada again mentioning the point that we have discussed yesterday and day before yesterday. He glorifies bhakti to be higher than any yoga practice, yoga mysticism, especially the Ashtanga yoga. Yeah. So up to this point is talking about Arjuna rejected the Ashtanga yoga, which was proposed by Krishna. The reason is that because he cannot control his mind. And then the second part of our discussion is that destination of the unsuccessful yogi. Arjuna asks about the destination of the unsuccessful yogi, but Krishna assures him that the yogi's next birth will be auspicious, giving him another chance for self-realization. Okay. Then, after Krishna explaining to Arjuna that how to control the mind, Krishna explained that by swadhyaya and by abhyasa and vairagya. Yeah, practice, suitable practice, and detachment. Okay, so that's the way how to control the mind. And now, after rejecting the Ashtanga yoga process, Arjuna is asking, okay, if there are some people practice Ashtanga yoga, what if they are failed? This is Krishna's answer. Oh, sorry, we start with Arjuna's question now. Oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Yeah. This was asserted by the Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. Ha vikramana susti pratyavayo navidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya. Little of that advancement, neha vikramana susti. There is no loss nor diminution in this path, because little advancements will give us eternal benefit. Yeah. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on the illusory energy. So joining Krishna consciousness movement means we are declaring war against Maya. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of the illusory energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. A conditioned soul is already allured by the modes of material nature, and there is every chance of being allured again, even while performing transcendental disciplines. So this is the duty of Maya. Maya. Yeah, in the past time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so Parvati, yeah, Parvati goddess, Parvati, because she's Maya personification, Parvati. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared here in Navadvip, so she came and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bowed down, and she was lamenting that, I'm so unfortunate that, you give me such a task. Maya Devi said, you give me such a task by which actually nobody appreciating the service that I'm doing. What service he does? Try to keep people away from Krishna. Yeah. Therefore, nobody appreciating her job, her service. Therefore, Maya is performing thankless service. But actually, that actually one of the most important service. Yeah. Because in that way, Krishna could see who is sincere, who is not sincere. So she's filtering, just like we want to enter college or university. There are thousands of people trying to enter one of the best university. So only few will be accepted. Yeah. So similarly, Maya is also like that. She's the one who's filtering which one is sincere soul, which one is not sincere. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, even Maya will still try to allure those who are spiritual practitioner, because we are declaring war against Maya now. And it is unique that for those who are not practicing spiritual life, so to get, for example, like alcohol, this and that, sense gratification, they have to work so hard. Maya keep the sense gratification away from the non-devotees. And they have to work so hard to get the sense gratification. And for devotees, Maya is offering sense gratifications. Maya is offering, take this, try to allure us, take this. But devotees keep rejecting. How much we can tolerate this? That's Maya want to see. That's Krishna wants to see. How much, how far we can tolerate. When we are able to tolerate this temptation to enjoy the senses, then our success is guaranteed in spiritual. Text 38. O mighty arm Arjun, doesn't such a man, O mighty arm Krishna, this is still Arjuna's statement. O mighty arm Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? Prabhupada explained, a cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins a big one. But if it can join a big one, then it is blown away. But if it cannot join a big one, then it is blown away by the wind and becomes a non-entity in the vast sky. So this is about the living entity who's trying to be separated from Krishna. But if we can reunite ourselves again with Krishna, so just like the cloud, there are small clouds. Those small clouds will be easily blown away by the wind in the sky. But when the small clouds join the big one, so their position will remain same. So similarly, that's also applicable for our situation as spiritual, which is in the material world now, who are in the material world now. Okay. Text 39, this is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So now Arjuna is declaring a very important point here, that he's inquiring the topmost person. And he said that no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt apart from Krishna. So he's choosing a right person to dispel his doubt. So this aspect is just like how we are surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master. Yeah. Krishna is the perfect knower of past, present, and future. Yeah. This will be described in the 7th chapter where Krishna says, Vedaham samatitani Vartamanani cha Arjuna. I know past, present, and future. So he's known as Trikalagya. Yeah. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is final and complete answer to all doubts, because he knows past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Yeah. Mam tu vedana kashana, Krishna says. Mam tu vedana kashana. No one knows me. Krishna and Krishna consciousness devotees alone can know what is what. Yeah. Krishna and pure devotees can know. Because some pure devotees, such as Narad Muni, they have also this Trikalagya, the ability to see past, present, and future. So Krishna and pure devotees know what is what, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Text 40, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, okay, this is Krishna's response toward Arjuna's question on the unsuccessful yogi. What will happen to them? Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities, does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. The only auspicious activities are those which leads one to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. Okay, so Tapo Divyam, we have discussed this. Yeah, Tapo Divyam means accepting discomfort in life, severe austerities to please the Lord in connection to Krishna. Tapo Divyam, not simply torturing the body, yeah, but austerities should be performed to please Krishna. If there's no meaning to pleasing Krishna, so the austerity that one's performed is actually useless. Yeah. Another important aspect also here that this word my friend I put in different color because it is interesting here that actually Arjuna was surrendering to Krishna as his disciple, but here Krishna is addressing Arjuna as my friend. So this is Baladev Vidyabhushana explanation that by using the word tata, my friend, Krishna is showing Arjuna special affection, addressing him as a loving father would address his son, or a spiritual master, his intimate disciple. Yeah. And this is the famous verse, yeah, very often quoted by Srila Prabhupada regarding the destination for those yogis who are unsuccessful in their practice. Prapya punya kritam lokam usvita saraswati samaha suchinam srimatam gehe yoga brasto vijayate. Yoga brasto vijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So there are three things happening here for the unsuccessful yogi. Yeah. Yeah. So what are those three things? First, he will go to heavenly planet and enjoy there for many, many years. Yeah. Second, he will be born in a rich family. If not born in a rich family, third, there is another option. He will be born in the aristocracy family or family of a Brahmana, Brahmana Vaishnava. So there is no loss. Especially in Krishna consciousness practice, there is no loss. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two. Okay. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. So these are two classification. One is when they start practicing and then they fall down, or one is after many years practicing. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets. Yeah, they will go to heaven, where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of a righteous Brahmana Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants, or rich men. So this is the result of those who just practicing little bit in a short period. And this one, text 42, after practicing for a long time. Yeah. Therefore, Prabhupada explained there are two classifications. One is falling down, unsuccessful yogi, falling down after a short period. This one is for long period. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. We will see here, Srila Prabhupada will praise himself a little bit. Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praise-bearing because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. Yeah. So we have to understand. Okay, 1 minute. I need to take drinking water. Excuse me. So those who are born in the devotee's family is actually should be understood. Should be understood that in their past life they have performed bhakti. Yeah, they have performed bhakti or practicing yoga for long period. Yeah, for a long period. Therefore, they will be born in the devotee's family. And as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, that such birth is very rare and glorious because they can perform bhakti right there from the beginning of their life. No? Fortunately, both our spiritual master, this is Srila Prabhupada's statement. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self, Prabhupada said, our humble self, had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our life. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. Srila Prabhupada, here he actually, when Srila Prabhupada was writing his purport, his book, Srila Prabhupada said one time to Srutakirti Prabhu that actually when Srila Prabhupada writes, it is actually not, the idea is not coming from him. It's Krishna dictate through him. So generally we see that an advanced devotee never praise himself. But here in this purport, we find that Srila Prabhupada is glorifying himself, glorifying himself to be special, to be born in the devotee family. Yeah. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is pure devotee. And he was, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was trained from the very beginning of his life in devotional service. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada was born from Gaur Mohan De, who is another great devotee. And Srila Prabhupada was trained to perform devotional service since the very day of his life. Yeah. Even he got his deity when he was small, when he was a child, because he used to imitate his father to perform puja. Srila Prabhupada imitating his father to perform puja. So come back to this purport that Srila Prabhupada seemingly glorifying himself, but we have to understand it is not the nature of Srila Prabhupada to glorify himself, because his purport is actually direct dictation of the Lord. And that's Krishna's nature, loves to glorify his devotees. So it is Krishna who's glorifying his devotees, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. So we should not think here that, oh, Prabhupada is puffed up trying to glorify himself. No, it is Krishna who loves to glorify his devotees. Yeah. Yeah. This is a lecture from Srila Prabhupada. So in my childhood, when I was 5 or 6 years old, I requested my father that father, give me this deity. I shall worship. So father purchased for me little Krishna, Radha, and he gave me. And I was imitating whatever food stuff I was getting. I was offering to Krishna and eating. In this way, I got my life developed. And there was a temple in our neighborhood. So I was seeing the Krishna deity. Oh, I was thinking many things. I still remember I was standing for hours together. So in this way, practically, we can understand that these facilities are given by the Lord. The Lord is always prepared to give us facility. Simply, he wants to see that we are sincere. That's all. So very important point here that I highlighted, that when we become sincere, so Krishna will give us facility in order to advance in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. And Srila Prabhupada mentioning here that when he was 5 or 6 years old, so he was demanding deities, and he is worshipping deity at that very young age, Kumaramachare Pragyu Dharmam Bhagavatam. Text 43. On taking such birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Guru. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he gives the example of Bharat Maharaj. Yeah? Bharat Maharaj. Bharat is the eldest son of Rishabhadev, who is actually the incarnation, the Saktya avatar of the Lord. Yeah. Bharat Maharaj, he became great king, and he renounces his kingdom. He went to the forest, performed tapasya, but somehow or other he got captivated and attached by a baby deer. And at the time of his death, he remembered deer, and as a result, he becomes deer, because the principle is that yam yam wapi smaran bhavam dejadhyante kalivaram. Whatever you remember at the time of death, that very stage, that body you will get. So Bharat Maharaj becomes a deer. But it is very special that while he was getting the body of deer, he's still conscious of his previous life. Therefore, he took the advantage of always associating with the sages in the forest. He's always listening Krishna Katha whenever the sage is discussing. Yeah? And then in the next life, he becomes Jadabaran. Yeah? And he perfected his life. Actually, Jadabarat is very elevated person, but he acted as a less developed brain boy. Yeah, because he doesn't want to be recognized as a great person. Srila Prabhupada said, from his life, from Bharat Maharaj's life, from his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So there is no loss in spiritual practice. Text number 44. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Prabhupada gave another example here about Haridas Thakur. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Nama Acharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas known as Sabda Brahma. Well, of course, we know that Haridas Thakur, he was none other than Lord Brahma himself. Yeah? And Brahma is one of the 12 Mahajans. Swayambhu, Narada. So Swayambhu means one who is having no father and mother, having no material mother and father. Yeah. Text 45. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attained the supreme goal. Yeah. When he is finally free from all contamination, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed from all contamination. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.28. Yeah, this is the verse of Bahunam Janmanam Ante. So those yogis, after failing many births, if they remain sincere in their practice, so ultimately they will achieve Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Yeah, Samahatma Sudur Labha. Yeah, this okay. That one verse, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. And this verse is saying where Krishna says, Yesam tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. So punya karmanam means after executing pious activities in many births, punya karmanam. And then yesam tu antagatam papam, and free from sins. Te dvandva mohanirmukta bhajante mam dridavratha. So te dvandva mohanirmukta, free from all illusory dualities. So after that point, Krishna was explaining about the unsuccessful yogi, their destination. And then the last two verses, Krishna will glorify the devotees being the topmost yogi. Krishna concludes his description of Astanga Yoga by comparing yogis to karmis, jnanis, and tapasvis. The yogi is superior to all, and the best yogi is the bhakta who always think of Krishna, worshipping him with full faith. Okay. Text 46. A yogi is greater than the ascetic. Okay, so the yogi is greater than the tapasvi, greater than the empiric, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be yogi. So there is this level, yeah, gradation, yeah, from the karmis, yeah, fruitive worker, and then the jnanis, the mayavadis, the empiric. Yeah. The empiric means those who like to speculate, yeah, and the ascetic, the tapasvi. So yogi is higher than all these. Prabhupada explained ways when we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. Sorry. And fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga. And the last verse. Yeah, Yogi nama pisharvesam adyatinantaratmana Sradhavan bhajate yomam samiyukta tamumata. So in the previous verse, Lord Krishna explained to Arjun that, higher than the karmis, the jnanis, and the tapasvis, yogi is the topmost amongst these. And in this verse, Krishna is explaining amongst all types of yogis, yeah, who is the topmost? And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That's my opinion. So devotees is the best amongst the yogis. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. Yeah. It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shama Sundar, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded. Yeah. So amongst all the devotees also, those who are worshipping Krishna is the topmost. Yeah, Prabhupada is explaining here. Shama Sundar Krishna, whose complexion is blue, blackish, like dark cloud. Yeah, and whose face is so beautiful. Yashyananam Makarakundala Charikana. And who's decorated by jewels and flower garlands. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushans explained Krishna's word. Although there is a relative grading of superiority and inferiority among the tapasvis and so on, still they are all inferior to my devotee, in the same way as all ordinary mountains. Both tall ones and short ones are inferior to a mountain made of gold. So there are different types of yogis, different types of tapasvis, but they are all inferior compared to the devotees. Just like there are so many mountains, Baladev Vidyabhusana explained, like mountains, whether it is high mountain, low mountains, all are inferior compared to a mountain made of gold. Yeah. So that's the end of the presentation. So I just want to round up the session from the beginning of our unit 1. in this Bhakti Sastri course, that we start from the introduction and preface given by Srila Prabhupada, where we see actually Srila Prabhupada's moods and mission a lot in that uh, part of introduction and and the preface. And then in chapter 1, we discuss about Arjuna Vishada Yoga. There are 5 reasons for Arjuna not to fight, and there are 4 signs of Arjuna's victory. And there's so many things, especially the Bhakta Vatsala. The Bhakta Vatsala part of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is, actually the subject matter of 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Krishna is reciprocating with his pure devotees. Yeah. And then in the second chapter, we start discussing about the Sankhya philosophy. Although in second chapter, we found that Krishna was touching all the aspect of the yoga ladder, but Krishna did not explain the yoga ladder to Arjuna in the systematic way. That's second chapter. And then in the third chapter, Krishna starts explaining the yoga ladder, starting from Karma Kanda, worshipping the demigods. Yeah? So this theme of the first 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga, in the sense of through karma, we can progress toward bhakti. Okay, in the last 6th chapter is about jnana. So how jnana can help us develop bhakti. That's the thing. Okay, the middle part of the Bhagavad Gita, the 6 chapters, the middle 6 chapters talk about bhakti. But in general, Bhagavad Gita is talking about bhakti, bhakti, bhakti. But in this session, this part is explain how karma can help us, how activities can help us, work can help us progressing toward bhakti. And then the 4th chapter, of course, after karma is explained, gyan is developed. Yeah? And then in the 5th chapter, we discuss about Buddhi Yoga or Niskama Karma Yoga. Yeah. When karma and gyan combine together, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained, when karma and gyan combine together, that becomes Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness or Niskama Karma Yoga or Karma Sannyas Yoga, because full result of one's activities is connected to Krishna, is offered to Krishna. Detachment. Yeah. And then, of course, this chapter is talking about Dhyana Yoga, yeah, meditation. It's of course discussing about the Astanga Yoga. Krishna explains Astanga Yoga, the process. It's very, very difficult, and Arjuna rejected it. And finally, okay, Krishna is explaining the topmost position in the yoga ladder is the devotees, the bhakta. And the 7th chapter will start with bhakti. Yeah, Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yoga Yunjan Sanat. Yeah. Yoga Yunjan Madasraya. So by surrendering to me, using one's mind, thinking constantly about me. Yeah. So this part is concluded. The 6th chapter ended by those who are meditating on Krishna constantly. Yeah. Mostly united intimately with Krishna. That's the best. Devotees are the best. And in the 7th chapter, it starts from this chain. Yeah. So I thank you very much for being patient, listening all these weeks. Whether any question or comments, you are welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I want to ask one question. Prabhu, in the Karma Yoga first verse, Arjuna Vasa, Jati se karmani stemata buddhi janardana, tanking karmani ghore mang, new jaisi keshava. In that context, the reply what Krishna gave, the Krishna gave the answer in the 3rd verse, Bhagavan Ubasa. That 3rd verse, Prabhu, can you do some explanation in the 3rd verse? In the reply of the original question, the 3rd verse, Krishna replied the answer, start to reply the answer. Who's the third verse? Can you give some explanation?
Which verse is that, Prabhu? Sorry.
Yes, Prabhu, third verse, then the Karma Yoga, third verse in the Karma Yoga. In the reply of the Arjun question.
The third verse of
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga.
3.3.
3 point?
3.
3.3.
Yes, yes.
Okay, 1 minute. Interesting. Yeah. Here it is, so everyone can see. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Nice. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nista Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Okay. Krishna says, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. All right. So here, Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna there are two types of people, two classes of people who try to understand about him. Yeah. The one is the Mayavadi, the one is Jnani. Yeah. Empirical, philosophical speculation means the Mayavadis, the Jnanis. So when we say about Jnani, that means impersonal understanding. Yeah. And others by devotional service. So these are two types of people who try to become self-realized. One is through Gyan, one is through Bhakti. But of course, this Gyan, our understanding is that the impersonal understanding. Therefore, Rupa Goswami explained that Jnana Karma Dhyana Vritam. Yeah. The Gyan mentioned by Rupa Goswami is the impersonal understanding. So yes, can they become self-realized? They can, but as we have already discussed, their realization is imperfect because they don't understand further that actually there is Krishna. They know that they are not the body. This is also self-realization. When one understands that one is not the body, that is self-realization. But the Mayavadi, they don't have the clue, they don't have the understanding that higher than we are not the body, there is actually Krishna where we are coming from. They become self-realized, but only half self-realized. And the another class is the Bhakta, one who tried to become self-realized through devotional service. So Bhakta is getting the full self-realization. So these are the two classes of men explained by Krishna to Arjuna in the third chapter. Yeah. Empirical speculation is referring to the who are impersonalists. Yeah, the impersonalists, the Mayavadi. So that's my answer, Paramananda Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. But Krishna gave not direct answer. Prabhu, Krishna gave the some long, not give the instant answer. Start that question look like that this is not the answer of the question. But Krishna gave at the end of whole chapter he give the answer actually, not give the instant answer. Exactly look like that this verse is not the answer of the original question.
Right. So that is a technique actually. That is a preaching technique actually. So not everybody is ready immediately with bhakti. So why Krishna is talking about karma, this and that, in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Krishna, in the 12th chapter, we will find later in the 12th, I think, yeah, it is the 12th chapter that Krishna is explaining the yoga ladder, but in the reverse way. Arjuna performed bhakti, If you cannot perform bhakti, do this. Still, if you cannot do this, do this. And still, if you cannot do this, okay, worship demigods, no problem. At least something you should do. Therefore, Krishna is explaining here that, okay, karma kanda is there, and for those who are not ready to perform devotional service directly, so start with karma kanda, worshipping the demigods, and slowly they will become purified, because while performing demigod worship also, actually they are worshipping Krishna indirectly, because demigods are, the different parts of the body of the Lord. So yes, Krishna doesn't give direct answer because not everybody is ready to take that direct answer. Therefore, the yoga ladder process. Can you hear my son is crying? Hey, 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Yes, yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam, Prabhu. So thank you very much for this, all the sessions of Bhakti Shastri. So Prabhu, one question can I ask? Prabhu? So, yes, yeah. So this, like, as you said, that Prabhupada has actually used the principle from Ashtanga Yoga, the 6th chapter, and he has used the principle, and the process, I think we are not following the Ashtanga Yoga. We are following the Bhakti, devotional. Yeah, so that is the main aspect. So there is, but we find that many devotees actually, they have taken yoga as a profession also. So, and you know that Sangat Sanjayate Kama. So how is it, means how one has to understand this situation? Because yes, as a karmi also, we have to work somewhere, and then we associate with many things. But when we actually devotees have rejected this, I also personally do pranayam and all sort of thing, but not into that hardcore yoga. But there are some who are professionally actually, the devotees. Then how it will be, it will be, how it is going to influence or affect, or maybe how it is it positive way, or is it something which they may try to use that as a vehicle for some other aspects? So how is it, means that sort of thing? If you can share about Hare Krishna, some inquisitiveness I had. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Interesting. Yes. Amongst the devotees in ISKCON, yeah, many like yoga teachers, this and that, and many devotees practice. 1 minute.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So among the devotees, yes, many devotees still practicing this kind of yoga, like Surya Namaskar, this and that, gymnastic yoga, breathing process, pranayama. I would say nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, as far as they keep their focus in the chanting, in the hearing, in devotional service. Those are just for those who have health issues, which is actually good for them to practice yoga. Those who have health issues, for example, it's good to practice pranayama or Surya Namaskar. And because we as devotees, we do need to keep our health, to perform devotional service. And what about those who are professional yoga teacher, for example, and many devotees performing that as a mean of, preaching also, because for general mass of the people, not everybody is ready to accept the chanting process. So sometimes I found personally that's interesting that when they teach yoga and simultaneously, so at the time of relaxation, so they have some bhajan kirtan, things like this. So that could be a means of preaching also. But as devotees, I believe that they have clear understanding about what is our goal and what is our main practice in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, but to keep the body healthy, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But nobody is really actually performing Ashtanga yoga these days. Yeah, that's hard. Who will go to the forest? Nobody is doing that. So it's okay. It's okay. But uh, as devotees, we have to understand what is our goal in practicing Krishna consciousness. We can become a yoga teacher, this and that, professional yoga or whatever, but we should be clear also that is not the only things that we have to do during the day. Devotees, many devotees practicing pranayama, and that's good actually. That's good. Yeah. Okay, our time is up, and
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna. So we have read the whole verses. Yeah, we don't miss even a single one. Yeah, an important aspect of Srila Prabhupada's purport. Thank you so much, and I thank Sudarshan Gorachandra Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to associate with all these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So thank you so much. Actually, we are obliged to have you here, and it's a great uh, success to hear from you and have this course. I know you have been conducting so many Bhakti Shastri courses, especially in Varnashram College, and I have also understood by talking with many devotees in Mayapur how your schedule is very busy, but you have agreed to teach us Bhakti Shastri first unit. I wish that you can also teach us the second unit. I will be very happy to request you. And also, I have seen this Bhakti Shastri, which is mainly oriented to make us advance in Krishna consciousness, helps us understand Prabhupada purpose and his moods, his mission, especially the principles. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned that Siddhanta Boliya Chitte Nakara Alas Iha Haite Krishna Lage Sudrira Manas. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, even in the purport, Prabhupada mentioned that there are many students who, in spite of reading Bhagavad Gita, they don't understand Krishna properly. They misunderstand Krishna. And they have some imperfect knowledge, and they conclude Krishna as ordinary historical personality. So the Siddhanta, the student should not neglect the discussion of such conclusion of Shastras. He should not consider them to be controversial. Like one example I can give, what incident happened today is your son was crying, and you took a pause and you attended your son, which Prabhupada mentioned that even if someone doing deity worship, he should, if the child is crying, he should stop deity worship immediately and go and take care of the child. That will be more pleasing to Krishna. So sometime in spiritual life, we do things fanatically. We think that, okay, Krishna is there, he will take care. But Krishna has given us intelligence also. He has given us the choice, and he has sent us various gurus, various shastras, scriptures to take guidance. So like Prabhupada mentioned in that purport, that even after reading Bhagavad Gita, many people misunderstand Krishna. They don't understand that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And similar in ISKCON also, I was talking with many senior devotees. They say, they agree that many devotees in ISKCON for many years they are there, but there is still confusion whether Krishna exists or not, whether this path is going to deliver us, take us back to Godhead or not. They have still some doubts on Prabhupada words. They have still some doubts on Bhagavad Gita sometimes, because Maya maybe is very powerful. So we all should be very much clear with the principles. And I'm very happy that we have Vishnurata Prabhu, who is very expert in presenting the principles in such a way that we can understand it. He makes the points very clear. so through his sessions and seminars. So I'm very much thankful, Prabhu, not taking much of your time. And we all know what you have done for all of us. So it's my humble request, if you can teach the next 6 chapters, the journey continues. And we all will be very much grateful to you.
We can discuss that separately, Prabhu.
Maybe including your son, he can be also part of this program. So thank you so much. And all the devotees, I'm very much thankful to them for joining here. Special thanks to those who are always there with their video on. This is a act of gratitude and respect towards the speaker. And especially when we have announced that these many days we will have the classes. Okay, some emergencies may be there, but I have seen most of you are trying to join with the video on, and very sincerely you have listened. Many have made notes, and especially Pranananda Prabhu, always he asks some questions. This is very good. I really like it. So thanks to all the devotees for joining this Bhakti Shastri course and attending sincerely. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much to all of you. Hare Krishna.
So we will all together chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once and thank Vishnu Rata Prabhu for his course. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
His grace Vishnu Rata Prabhu ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much.
Bhakti Shastri course